Last November 2024, I began a 6-week dating trip with the intention of finding a serious partner. I used the services of Thai Friendly and Date in Asia, and during that trip, I dated 5 women between Thailand and the Philippines. I eventually met a beautiful 42-year-old Filipina who I will call Diane. We connected well. She had 2 older teenage children and worked full-time in Metro Manila, which meant we did not have much time together. We had hardly any physical contact, let alone aerobics, and our focus was simply getting to know each other without distractions. After I returned home, we stayed in touch every day by WhatsApp. At first, it was only text, but later we video called often, and after 3 months, it was clear that we saw ourselves as a couple and we started planning a future together. With all my previous experience dating in those countries, I knew she was not a scammer, and I made it clear from the beginning that I lived modestly on my pension. After considering everything, I invited her to visit me in Israel in the spring. I checked all the requirements and confirmed that she needed a valid passport and some other documents, a simple letter of invitation stating I would host her, provide for her, and ensure she returned home after her visit. Visitors from the Philippines were officially allowed to stay for up to 3 months. What I did not know was that in recent years, this relationship had weakened because of rising numbers of illegal Filipino and foreign workers attempting to enter Israel. I booked Diane a ticket from Manila through Abu Dhabi to Tel Aviv for arrival on September 2, 2025. Her takeoff time was the evening of September the 3rd. The night before her flight, I expected a message saying she was ready for her first ever journey abroad. Instead, she wrote saying the passport officer told her she was missing paperwork. He said she needed an official letter of invitation notarized by the Philippines Embassy in Tel Aviv and notarized affidavit of support. He then claimed her travel insurance was invalid, which was untrue. Seeing she had never flown before, he pressured her into paying him. I was shocked. Nobody expects to check departure rules for another country when buying a ticket. You check your own country's entry rules, not theirs. Because of this, we lost the ticket and the insurance money, and I could not claim because insurances do not cover documentation refusal. Before retiring, I worked in insurance management, so I know exactly how these things unfold and how easily they trap you. Corruption in the Philippines is widespread. As Westerners, we expect fairness, order, proper procedures, and professional behavior. In reality, airlines and officials do not always provide accurate information. A Filipina overseas Filipino worker in Israel later told me that anything can happen when cash is involved. This can all happen even when the ETA should guarantee travel up to passport control in Israel. So I warn your viewers never to assume departure regulations abroad match the ones at home. The next morning, I accepted we had no choice but to continue. During that week, I typed the required documents based on official embassy templates. Then I notarized them at the Philippine Embassy in Tel Aviv, sent them to Diane by courier, and bought a second ticket for September 13 for arrival on September 14. Full of excitement, I waited for her at the airport. She called saying she had landed at 5 a.m. An hour passed, then almost another. When I phoned, she said Israeli passport control were questioning her. Israel is extremely strict on incoming visitors, even with correct documents. Security concerns include large numbers of illegal workers from countries like the Philippines trying to enter for domestic or engaging in work. More time passed and Diane told me they refused her entry. They gave no explanation. They would not speak to me. At the immigration office, they refused to tell me anything and ordered me to leave. I went back to the arrivals hall and kept contacting Diane and anyone in the country who I thought might help. Nothing worked. Immigration staff pressured her to sign a form agreeing to be sent home, but I told her not to sign anything because it might block her future entry. After 9 hours at the airport, my phone battery was almost dead. This nightmare was happening again. Our nerves were completely broken. I even asked Diane if she was willing to be held at the airport for a few days while I appealed. She initially agreed, but with no battery left, she eventually lost hope and boarded a flight home. It was devastating. We lost more than $3,500 US, Worse than the financial loss was a feeling of being treated like criminals despite being a genuine couple. As an Israeli, I understand strict border policy, but this was superstition with no evidence. The most obvious reason was the age gap. I am 79 and Diane is 42, and they likely assumed I was bringing in an illegal caregiver. This was nonsense, as I train with weights 3 times a week and I do not need one. I have now hired an immigration lawyer who told me the legal process to bring Diane could take at least 6 months or more. I told her I do not have unlimited time and I intend to marry. But Israel does not allow civil marriages between different religions. A Jew cannot marry a Catholic or a Muslim or anyone of another faith. My plan is for Diane and me to meet in Thailand and marry. There is a simple registry office marriage. Some may assume the Philippines make more sense, but I have many reasons why I do not want to marry there. I prefer Thailand and I want Diane to enjoy the first proper holiday. So to finish, I hope this warning helps other men planning to bring their Asian partners to the West. Now, I want to ask for help. I plan to meet Diane soon in Thailand to get legally married, and I need a marriage agency or a law firm to handle the paperwork. My lawyer said this will strengthen our case for her entry into Israel. If anyone has contact details for a reliable law firm or agency in Thailand who arrange legal marriages, I would be extremely grateful. Thank you in advance. So I recommended Thai legal, forgot the name there, particularly David in Bangkok. Now, I did a video with David about a year ago, and that's what he specializes in, getting Thai spouses to other countries. But I did contact this guy and I said, look, he's your best shot at it. But the problem is she's a Filipino, she's not Thai. So I'm not sure David can actually help her because the conditions are going to be different for her as it would a Thai person. But, you know, I've given him the details. He can have go and have a talk with David and see if he can help. And if not, to be frank, I was thinking about this story when I edited it, and I think if it was me, I think I'd have just packed up my suitcase and moved to the Philippines, or at least partially moved and did half my time there and half the time in Israel. He must have been devastated. I remember when I brought my Korean wife to the UK in 2000, it was a fairly simple process, but they did separate us. And they did ask me a number of questions, and they asked her a number of questions, and they just wanted to see if the questions matched up, which obviously they did, because we'd been together for a long time. But as I say, I thought about it, and it must have been devastating. You know, he excited, he bought the air ticket, she'd flown halfway across the world, he's there in arrivals waiting for her, and she gets knocked back. It must have been terrible for him. I can't imagine for the poor guy. I just wish him all the best of luck for the future. Okay, let's go into our final story of the morning. Flashback to February 1998, and 2 friends and I were sitting in a Seoul coffee shop reading the Korean Herald when my one friend pipes up and says, I need to do a visa run, where should I go? My other friend and I were on a month's break between projects, and I said, let's go to Thailand. We quickly gathered the funds and called my travel agents, and we were good to go. The next day, we planned to meet at Seoul Station and take the subway to the old Kimpo airport. However, my friend arrives and informs me that his passport has only 3 weeks left on the validity. What the heck? How do you let that happen? Fortunately, I had a friend at the embassy and we got a new one in less than 3 hours. And yes, I know some will say BS, but it was my friend and we were sworn to secrecy not to let anyone know it was possible. Due to this unscheduled bit of business, we are now rushing into the airport to catch the flight. Remember, back in 1998, tickets were the carbon copy things, and you needed to hold on to the return copy. No iPhones in those days. We check in and rush to the gate, and yes, we made it, barely. I collapse into my aisle seat and breathe a sigh of relief, and I glance to my right and see a gorgeous Thai lady, score. My buddies are further right of her, and we are on the 5-seat middle row. I was just about to greet her when the stewardess rushes up to me and says, Sir, you may need your return ticket, and hands me the carbon copy receipt. Wow, the scrambling around caused me to forget it and check in. I take a breath again and I think, wow, what a day. Then I hear a sweet voice say, You so lucky, and I turned back to my beautiful seatmate and began the best conversation on an aeroplane I've ever had, and I travel a lot. It is about 6 hours into the flight from Seoul to Bangkok, and halfway through my seatmate is asleep on my shoulder, and my buddies are looking and cursing their bad seating luck. An hour later, her head is on my lap and she is holding my hand, and I glance over to one friend still awake, and he whispers, "We're not even in Bangkok yet," and laughs. I gently shake my new female friend as we are stopping off over Eastern China for a few minutes, and as we deboard, my new friend grasps my hand and we enter the smoke-filled waiting terminal where the passengers were actually smoking immediately after exiting the plane in the connecting tunnel. Crazy. We continue to walk through the terminal, and my new girlfriend is attached to me like an octopus, and my two buddies are giggling behind me and making snide comments. All of a sudden, she turns to me and says, "You come with me to my parents' house. They pick me up at airport." I pause and I say, "I'm with my friends, but you can definitely meet up with me in Bangkok." All of a sudden, she drops my hand and walks away, and I look at my friends and mouth, "W2F." We eventually get back on the plane and my seatmate is silent. About 10 minutes before landing, she scribbles a cell phone number on a card, and apparently she works in a jewellery factory in Korea. Upon landing, she bolts off the plane and we do not even see her at the luggage area. Thus ended the shortest relationship in my life. I did call that number when I returned to Korea, and some guy answered and basically told me off in Korean.